Good afternoon. I'm attorney Ahmed Yagzan from the American Dream Law Office, coming to you today for our weekly live session from our office. We have a lot of exciting things that happened this past week, and I would be so happy to join it. To share all of that information with you. Probably the most exciting thing that happened is we started our podcast, and we published our first podcast session yesterday. So if you could please follow us on YouTube. It's actually going to be on Spotify, YouTube, and all of the favorite podcasting software. So if you want to go to YouTube and Google American Dream Law Office, you can actually subscribe to our podcast from there. And then I will actually send out links to our newsletter very soon. So if you want to subscribe to our podcast, go to our website americandreamlawoffice.com and and so submit the form, so um, you will be subscribed to that you'll be subscribed to our email list. um, a couple of things that we're doing is I would really appreciate some likes on TikToks. If you're following us on TikTok, please go ahead and give us a like, a follow, or a heart. If you're following us from somewhere else, I would really appreciate a follow. I know I'm live on YouTube right now too. You can follow us on YouTube, and I will put the channels and everything underneath our video after I'm done. So if you want to follow us on social media, I would really appreciate it. And I also have my handles for our social media links up top. It's all American Dream Law Office. So let's start with some questions that we received. Um, the Tony, if you could please just re-ask your question here, because I didn't see it. Um, we are getting some questions, every week, and I have about 15 questions to answer today. Hopefully, I can get through all of them. The first question that I have is, can I lose my status if I commit a crime? The question says, can I lose my citizenship if I commit a crime? That's really a different question. But can you lose your status if you commit a crime in the United States, or can you be prevented from getting status in the United States if you have committed a crime outside the United States? So there's two things that to worry about here. There is a someone who's coming into the United States for some sort of visa or a green card who has committed a crime. There is someone who is in the United States and trying to adjust their status, and has committed a crime, or has committed a crime in the past, or is in the process of getting convicted of a crime, or someone who's applying for citizenship, or perhaps applied for citizenship, and they have committed a crime. Tony, we don't actually help with this kind of cases. If you call my office or email intake@americandream.law, intake@americandream.law, and tell us which state you're in. I will be able to refer you to someone to actually answer that question. So if you commit a crime in the outside the United States and you're trying to come into the United States, depending on the type of crimes, that crime might actually make you inadmissible, which means you are not allowed to come into the United States. And depending on the type of crime it is, there are some crimes called crimes of moral turpitude, or aggravated felonies. Moral turpitude, some moral turpitude crimes can actually be waived. Some aggravated felonies may actually stop you from coming to the United States for forever. So if you have committed a crime outside the United States, you're going to have an issue coming into the United States. But the best thing to do is, before applying for the green card or the for the benefit, um, if you're applying for a benefit, the best thing to do is to call an attorney if you have something with a criminal component at the in your background that you're trying to and you're trying to come to the United States. The second thing is, if you're here in the United States and you're trying to apply for a benefit, even a non-immigrant visa, you're going to have a problem if you do have a crime. Some crimes might actually put you in removal proceedings if you are in a non-immigrant visa category. So again, the best thing to do is to speak to an attorney before you apply for any benefit. Some crimes, if you're applying for a green card, will also make you ineligible for a green card, and you're gonna have to worry about filing for a waiver if it's a waivable offense or not. And again, if you're applying for citizenship, having a criminal record will also affect your application, and that application might actually be denied. So if you have anything with a criminal record, please call us before you apply for any sort of visa. Again, Tony, my email is intake@americandreamlawoffice.com. The second question that I have is, I'm worried about scams. How can I tell if an immigration lawyer is legitimate? And we actually get that question a lot. We do require some people to pay us an consultation fee for us to be able to speak to them, and for them to be speaking to me about legal advice or anything like that. So a lot of people tell us, well, how do I know that if you're a legitimate law firm before I pay you? And I promise you, I don't hold it against anybody if they ask me that question. I understand. We do have someone right now using our name in the United States to scam people, and I understand. I promise. So the worst thing that you wanna do is actually get scammed and lose thousands of dollars. The best thing to do, to check if someone is uh, a scam or not, is to Google their name. First of all, you want to have someone who is an attorney, not some sort of consulting service or a notario. Um, that's number one. Number two, if you're trying to hire an attorney, what I would do is try to Google their name and Google the attorney's name, because if they are an attorney, they have to have a membership um, in a bar association. And if they're not member of a bar association, they're not they're not actually they're not um, allowed to practice law in the United States, and they're not allowed to practice immigration law in the United States. So if you cannot find their name anywhere, honestly, I wouldn't hire them, and I would try to find someone else. The other things that you can do is um, call a local bar association, or call the state bar association where you are. And if you can't find an attorney, we do cases all over the world. So if you need an immigration attorney, just call us, and we'll be more than happy to help. But call your local bar association and ask them if this person is legitimate or not, and they should be able to help you. So Google is your friend here, and make sure that they are attorneys before you actually hire them. Because if they're not attorneys and they're scamming people, um, and they are practicing law without a license, you really don't want to give them any of your money. We got a question on TikTok. It says, "Sir, I had a DUI in 2011. Would a visa interview officer look at this as a criminal offense?" It really depends. A DUI usually is not an inadmissible offense. However, it's some DUIs, if they involved some sort of physical injury to someone, or death or anything like that, they might actually count as a um, a crime of moral turpitude. So you might be stopped from coming into the United States. But they usually DUIs are not an issue. Um, I would really love some hearts, guys, on TikTok. So if we can reach 300, I would really appreciate it. Um, So the next question that I have is, what happens to my immigration case if I switch lawyers in the middle? And again, the answer to that question is, it really depends on what kind of what kind of case you have pending, anything like that. I have taken cases over before from other attorneys, because the client was dissatisfied with their performance, or they thought that they're not doing a good job or anything like that. You're more than welcome to get a second opinion anytime you need to switch attorneys. That's not a problem. It's going to be very complicated to switch in the middle, depending on the type of case that you have. If it's a naturalization case or something like that, that would be an easy case to switch attorneys in the middle of. But if it's like a removal case, or if it's something that is very complicated, and if you're in removal proceedings, switching attorneys might not be that complicated. But honestly, you might have to pay a new attorney to start from scratch. So that's really going to depend um, on your preference with which attorney you want to go with. But what I would do is, if you're not satisfied with, I've actually represented people where their former attorney actually got disbarred or kicked out of the bar association, and they had to find another attorney. So if you need to do that, call us, and I'll be more than happy to help. Again, we do cases all over the country. We're not just in Florida, we're in New York, and we're in Washington, DC. So if you need any help, and you need help switching attorneys, I'll be more than happy to help you. The next question says, "Can I learn enough about immigration law myself to avoid needing a lawyer?" There is a saying among attorneys in the United States, that who he has himself for a client is a fool. So yeah, what it means is, if you're trying to represent anything, you represent yourself in front of any governmental agency. Honestly, that would be a very bad thing to do. When I applied for my own green card, I actually hired an attorney, and when I applied for my own citizenship, I had an attorney go with me to the interview. And the reason why I did that is, when you're actually doing something legal in nature, you're going to be emotionally attached to it, especially uh, if you're applying for a green card and it's something that's really going to change your life. You probably want to spend the money to hire an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, unfortunately, the government doesn't give you an attorney in immigration proceedings. But if you can't afford an attorney, there are free attorneys out there, like Lutheran Service or Catholic legal charities, that can actually help you submit your applications to USCIS. So if you can't afford an attorney, I would actually try to find someone who's going to help you submit everything. So if you're tight on money or anything, we also have a financing program where you can actually apply for financing for you to be able to um, get your paperwork filed. And the financing programs that we have actually have, they you don't even have to be a citizen for you to qualify for them. So if you're tight, I would hire an attorney. I wouldn't do it by myself. And honestly, if you're not an attorney, it's going to take a lifetime for you to learn the ins and out of immigration law. One of the district directors for USCIS once said that um, immigration lawyers are worth their weight in gold, because the immigration law is very complicated. So if you're trying to learn how to become an immigration attorney, it's really going to take a very long time. And I wouldn't tell you to file on your own, and for any sort of benefit. I would call me, and we will see what we can do to help you. The next question is, what should I bring to my first consultation with an immigration lawyer? And the answer really is it really depends on what kind of case you have. Now I don't really need a lot. My staff, when you call my staff, they will ask you a lot of questions regarding your case, and I will usually have all the information I need from the questions that they have asked you. Um, we do have a very good intake process at my office that asks you a lot of questions, and we pretty much know what you need from the beginning. So if you're called in my office, you really don't need a lot of documents to speak to me. If it's just like a run of a mill kind of thing, immigration case, so you don't really need a lot of documents. Now, if you do have a case that was denied, what I would bring with me is that denial decision, because if I'm helping you try to reverse a denial of an application that you filed with immigration, it will probably be a good idea to bring that decision for us to find out what it is that the government used to deny your petition or your application in front of them. So go ahead and bring that with you to your consultations with me, if you really if you need me to review a denial from the government. um, but again, I actually don't like looking at a lot of documents during the consultation. um, and um, and I do that because there's a lot of the Florida bar has a lot of rules regarding legal advice and stuff like that. But if you do have a denial decision or anything that you need me to review, I'll be more than happy to look at it. I don't review forms. So if you come to my office with forms that you have filled out, I probably gonna cut off the consultation very quickly. I'm not gonna be able to look at forms during the consultation. The next question I have is: I'm married to a U.S. citizen and I have DACA. Can I apply for a green card? Absolutely. The problem you're gonna have is, um, if you came in in an irregular way to the United States, meaning that you crossed the border with your parents or whoever brought you into the United States, under the current law right now, you're not able to actually get a green card unless you leave the country and come back. So if you are trying to get a green card through a marriage to a U.S. citizen, you're not going to be able to get a green card unless you made a legal entry into the United States. So if you are in the United States on DACA, there is a way for us to fix that irregular entry. Is there's something called advanced parole, there's something called a re-entry permit that we can apply for. You can leave the country and come back, and after you come back, that will actually cure your entry into your irregular entry into the United States, and will allow you to file for your green card. Now, if you're hesitant about leaving the country, and honestly, I wouldn't blame you if you are, um, President Biden is going to sign an executive order very soon to help people with DACA or without DACA try to apply for a green card here in the United States if they're married to a U.S. citizen and have been here for more than 10 years. You've been here in the United States for more than 10 years. So if you came here into the United States by crossing the border, if you wait until August or so, we might be able to actually do something for you. Again, if you're in the United States, the phone number is 1-888-963-7326. And if you are actually outside the United States, you can call us. The phone number is 813-335-4938, or you can catch us on WhatsApp at +1 727 301 9328. If you call us on please don't call us on WhatsApp. Just send us a message, and then we'll be able to get in touch with you. Again, the number is +1 727 301 9328. Hey guys, if you're on TikTok, I would really appreciate some more hearts, guys, and I would appreciate some follows. Thank you so much. The next question that I have is: how soon can I apply for asylum after applying to the United States and after coming to the United States? There is not really a rule on how long you have to wait to apply for asylum. When you come to the United States, you can apply for asylum the next day after coming to the United States. That's not an issue. The problem you're gonna run into is, the asylum officer might actually question the reason why you came to the United States, or if you got the visa overseas, they're gonna question your motives for getting the visa. So if you come here to the United States and apply for asylum right away, it might raise some flags about a fraud or misrepresentation when you're going to your interview. Now, some of these things might actually get overcome because you applied for asylum, but some things might not be able to. And even some misrepresentations actually, if you apply for asylum, might be okay, but when you're applying for your green card down the road, they might actually deny you because of the misrepresentation. So you might want to consult an immigration attorney before applying for asylum after you arriving to the United States. The other thing that you have to worry about is, in the United States, you have 1 year from the last day of arrival into the United States to apply for asylum. If you wait for more than a year, you're not going to be able to apply for asylum in the United States, and you would not qualify for asylum, but you will qualify for something called withholding of removal, unless you have an exception to the 1 year rule, meaning change country circumstances, change circumstances in your eligibility for asylum. So, for example, if you come here 15 years ago, but you didn't apply for asylum, and one of your family members gets jailed, for example, for political reasons in your country, you might still be able to get around the 1 year rule because the basis of your eligibility has changed. So the only rule that you have when you apply for asylum in the United States is that 1 year rule. So make sure you apply for asylum within that one year, um, within that 1 year before, after arriving to the United States, to just not fall victim to that 1 year rule. Again, call us, and we'll be more than happy to discuss that with you, if you want to apply for asylum shortly after arriving into the US. The next question is, I entered through the border and now I got married to a US citizen. Can I apply for a green card? As I said earlier, um, entering in an irregular way really does not help you. Your issue is going to be is that the law in the United States right now says that you're not able to apply for permanent residence if you came into the United States without inspection, or in an irregular way, is what we call it. Now, there are a couple of exceptions to that. For example, if you came in and got paroled, some parole programs allow you to adjust your status. If you came in before 2000, and you applied for asylum before 2001, you might be able to apply for your permanent residence by paying the penalty, and able to overcome that irregular entry by paying that $1,000. It's $1,000 penalty right now, and being able to pay that penalty, and able to actually apply for your green card after that. So there are exceptions to the rule, but if you came in recently, and you might not be able to adjust your status even if you get married to a United States citizen. But again, if you have those circumstances, make sure that you call my office, and I'll be able to guide you through whether you are actually allowed to apply for it or not. So thank you for the question. Actually, that's a very good question. Um, the next question that I have is, I have a deportation order. Can I appeal and try to get asylum? And absolutely, positively, you can. I recently did a case for someone who had a removal order entered against him about 15 years ago. After he came to the United States, he actually changed, converted to a different religion recently, and we were able to file a motion to reopen the proceedings and apply for a new underlying asylum case for him. So even if you've been here in the United States for a very long time, you'll be able to actually reopen that removal order. That would not be an issue. Now, if you're in the United States, and you have that deportation order, you don't necessarily have to apply for asylum. If there's any sort of change in the law, um, any sort of change in law that allows you to apply for the motion to reopen, even if it's a very old removal order, you will be able to reopen that removal order. So, for example, I had a case for a Cuban person from Cuba who entered the United States a very long time ago. He had 20-year-old removal order because he had marijuana conviction in the in the state of Florida. And recently there's been some case law change in the 11th Circuit that says that marijuana in the in Florida is actually defined more broadly than federal law. And we were able to file for a motion to reopen and terminate in front of the immigration court, and we were able to actually get that reopened and dismissed, and now we're applying for his green card. So just because you have a removal order, it doesn't really matter how long it's been. What I would do is I would consult with an immigration attorney to see if you're able to file, if you're able to actually file a motion to reopen that case. But if you do want to reopen that deportation order and get a and get apply for asylum because you have an underlying basis to reapply for asylum, absolutely you can do that. The next question I have is, what are the benefits for applying for TPS? TPS is absolutely fantastic, and I mean it's not the best benefit that you can get under immigration law, but it's a very good benefit. TPS allows you to stay in the United States without accruing a legal presence in the United States if you have temporary protected status. Now, if you have there are a bunch of countries that are actually um, under TPS designation right now, and you can figure out if your country is designated for TPS by going to uscis.gov/TPS, and they will be able to tell you what if you're from a country that is designated for TPS. The last designation we got was for Haiti. Um, if you have TPS, the United States is not it is not going to remove you from the United States, even if you have a removal order against you. You will not be able they will not able to remove you from the United States. That's number one. Number two, you'll be able to get a work permit and a work authorization, and you'll be able to um, you'll be able to actually come you'll be able to work in the United States and support your family. In some instances you're also able to leave the country and come back to cure illegal any sort of illegal entry into the United States. In some instances, again, um, I wouldn't tell people to leave the country if there's something pending in front of the government or anything like that. But TPS might be a way to actually do it. We have a question on TikTok that says, "What is TPS?" Again, TPS is temporary protected status. It means that the government of the United States is temporarily protecting citizens of certain countries. As I said, if you're from Venezuela or Haiti, these countries are designated right now. Liberia has been designated for a very long time. So Syria has a designation. So as I said, it's temporary protected status is for the government not to be able to remove you from the United States if you're here under temporary protected status or TPS. You're welcome. The last question that I have: is it recommended to do a prenup agreement before getting married to a non-citizen? I actually like that question, and there's a bunch of things a bunch of things to consider when you're speaking to a non-citizen. There are a couple of problems with prenups, but there is actually a couple of benefits of prenups. If you do sign a prenup with a non-citizen and you get married to them, the government takes that most of the time as a very good sign. That means that you're not getting married just for you to get a green card, and you're getting married and you're afraid that you're going to lose your assets if you end up getting divorced from the non-citizen. So what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to submit that prenup to show that you have a fear of losing your assets if you get divorced. That will actually, sometimes officers have been really impressed with that, and I have gotten compliments about that, and the cases were actually approved. The second reason why I do like prenups is you really don't know what happens down the road. The only thing that I would say is that if even if you do have a prenup, the issue you're gonna run into is that when you marry a non-citizen, you're not going to be able to get around sometimes you're not able to get around the affidavit of support obligations just because you had a prenup with a person before you married them. And if you're wondering what the affidavit of support is, that is a piece of a paper that you sign to actually apply for someone to become a permanent resident, and it says that you're financially responsible for them if they apply for any sort of means tested benefits from the United States government. That's Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, anything like that. The United States government might actually come after you for that. So that's the issue that you're going to run into. The prenup in some instances might not overcome your obligations under the affidavit of support. So, but it do I recommend it? I think I would be I would actually really like, I do like prenups, especially if it's if you're worth, a lot of money. I would actually have a prenup if you're married to a non-citizen. And again, that's for the reasons that I told you. Now, I do have a couple of favors to ask you. Actually, we have a question on TikTok before I log off. It said, "I got my social security number and work permit. My dad passed away. Is it possible I can get an emergency travel document?" That's a very complicated case. Fabulous, and I would call my office. Please call my office. My office number is 1-888-963-7326. Again, that's 888-963-7326. Or email us at intake@americandreamlawoffice.com, and we'll be able to schedule you for a consultation. Unfortunately, I don't really like answering a question, personal questions on lives, because I do have some issues with confidentiality or stuff like that. So just call the office, and I'll be more than happy to answer your question. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. We just reached 1,000 likes on TikTok. I truly appreciate it. Again, guys, we're open 24/7. I don't know if you knew that. You can call my office at 1-888-963-7326 if you want to call me, or if you have any friends who need immigration help. Please don't hesitate to join us on these lives, or share my phone number with them, and I'll be more than happy to help them. Um, we've been online for a while now, so I'm getting ready to log off. But if you I would answer any questions if you guys have them. All right, I don't see any questions. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Call me or email us if you have um, any questions for us. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys next week. Take care.